Почитувани представници на медиумите, почитувани граѓани, почитувани гости.
Distinguished representatives of the media, distinguished guests, we will now hear the press conference on the occasion of the signing of the agreement for construction of Corridor 8 and Corridor 10D. First, we will hear from the President of the Government of the Republic of North Macedonia, Mr. Kovačevski. Prime Minister, you may take the floor.
Good
afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to offer my congratulations on the occasion of the 8th of March, the International Women's Day, and to make this one of the first one of the 365 days when we are fighting for women's rights and gender equality. Dear First Deputy Prime Minister Artan Grumi, dear Minister of Transport and Communications Bochvarski, dear Director of the Public Enterprise for State Roads Ejo Prostimi, dear Bechtel-Enka representatives Mark Allison and Mehmet Tara, dear Ambassador, dear citizens, thank you for attending today's event, and it is my great, exceptional pleasure that today, with the signing of the agreement for Corridor 8 and Corridor 10D with the consortium Bechtel-Enka, we are starting the realization of one of the most important and largest infrastructural projects in our country. This is a historic infrastructural project that will fulfill one major strategic determination that will benefit the citizens, the companies, and the overall economy. With the construction of the sections from Corridor 8 and Corridor 10D, North Macedonia will have European modern highways, making the country even more important regional and international route. The value of this project is 1.3 billion euros. The overall length of the sections is almost 110 kilometers, or Section Tetovo-Gostivar in the length of over 17 kilometers, Gostivar-Bukovičani 30.3 kilometers, the section Trebinishta-Struga-Tjafasan almost 22 kilometers, and the section highway Prilep-Bitola in a total length of about 40 kilometers. Now, with the construction of these 4 new modern highways, we will enable connection with our neighbors and thus connection with the important ports. North Macedonia is a natural crossroad with the 2 corridors, Corridor 8 and Corridor 10, and this strategic position on the Balkans make us the key point for transit as port for Europe to the Black and Adriatic Sea. That is why we're focusing on the construction and finalization of these 2 corridors, because with their construction, we're building the European future of our country, but also the future of the neighbors in the region. That is why our objective as a government is to create quality road infrastructure and projects that will be a permanent investment. In the last 32 years in the country, we had 186 kilometers of highways, and with this agreement, in 5 years, we will construct 110 kilometers of modern European highways. The difference is more than visible. As we promised, we will remain determined to focus on improvement of the traffic, road, infrastructural, local, national, regional, and international connectivity of our country. Because quality highways facilitate not only life, but also impact the traffic, the trade, and the economy. That is why we're focusing on investments in infrastructure, because developed infrastructure means developed economy and developed country. At the moment, we are building and rehabilitating various sections, and there is an active reconstruction of additional highways in the length of 59 kilometers. There's an ongoing realization of Skopje-Blace, and we're speeding up the railway connection and construction of Corridor 8. We're in the first and second phase of the railway towards Bulgaria with a total investment of more than 6 million euros. This is historically the largest investment so far that will enable alternative railway for the domestic companies for cheaper and faster transportation. These are real projects that are being completed. With the roads that we have been building, with the infrastructure we are securing. We enable our country to be even more noticed on the world investors map. Being a prime minister of a pro-European government, it is a great honor that these undertakings, one of the largest in our history, will remain not only on paper but also in the collective memory of our people who know how to appreciate good deeds. In the very end, I would like to wish success in the construction of the new highway sections of Corridor 8 and Corridor 10D to the companies that will work on it. Bechtel-Enka, world-renowned companies, and to wish them many successful projects of this type that will enable better future for our citizens. Thank you. Now we'll hear from my colleagues, and should you have any questions related to the specifics of the projects, we have the Minister of Transport, the Director Rustemi, the Deputy Prime Minister Grubi. Thank you. Now I will invite the first Deputy Prime Minister of the government, Mr. Artan Grubi.
Prime Minister.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very glad that you are here, distinguished representatives of the media, distinguished citizens. Today we are here with the Prime Minister of the government, the Minister of Transport, the Director of the Public Enterprise for State Roads, but also with the surveillance and the contractors, the representatives of the companies Bechtel and Enka, who will work on the Corridor 8 and 10D. I will be very brief. I presume you all have questions. We'll answer them all together. But I would like to emphasize that this is the largest infrastructural project in the history of our country. If in the last 32 years we have had highways of about, we have constructed highways in the length of 5.5 kilometers average a year, this project will have 20 to 25 kilometers per year. We are speaking of the section Titovo-Gostivar, Gostivar-Kičevo, that will be connected to the highway Kičevo-Ohrid, and it will be divided from Trebenishta up to Tjafasan, or the new crossing border that will be defined with Albania. We have a work group with the Republic of Albania for a new border crossing, so that we can have the section a bit lower from the mountain of Tjafasan. The other section, the last one, is Prilep-Bitola, and this will complete all highway sections in our country with one consortium such as Bechtel-Enka. They're quite renowned. They offer high quality not only in our country, in our region, but all throughout the world. We are very thankful to them. The price pursuant to the agreement is the 12 million euros per kilometer, and this is quite lower than the average of the construction of the highways on other sections, not only in our country, but in the region. Today we have the representatives from the surveillance. They can answer your questions. So anything that you would like to know, we are here to answer it. However, the whole point, let me resume, is to build constructions, to build highways very fast with quite quality and for an average price. And this is the largest infrastructural project in our country. I would like to address you in Albanian too. Please be patient. This is again the same speech going into Albanian.
Zoni Severiut dhe pas gati se 2 vite procedurë, unë shkrua projekti historik i ndërtimit të korridorit 8, që nënkupton një autostradë që nga Shkupi deri në Qafstan dhe ku do të lidhet me pjesën e korridorit 8 që do ndërtohet nga qeveria e Republikës së Shqipërisë. Nëse në shtetin ton janë ndërtuar autostrada në të kaluarën, mesatarisht prej 5.5 kilometra në vit, me konsorciumin Bechtel-Enka, ndërtimi do të jetë nga 22 deri në 25 kilometra në vit, ndërsa kostoja kilometrit është mesatarisht 12 milion euro, që është në përputhje me kostot e autostradave të mëparshme të ndërtuara, jo vetëm në vendin ton, por edhe në rajon. Jemi këtu për t'ju përgjigjur të gjitha pyetjeve tuaja, dua t'i uroj të gjithë qytetarët për këtë sukses të jashtëzakonshëm dhe për këtë ndërshkrim të marrëveshjes historike. Ju faleminderit.
Thank you. Now we will continue. I would like to invite the Minister of Transport and Communications, Mr. Bochvarsky. You may take the floor. Thank you. Dear attendees, dear President of the Government, dear First Deputy Prime Minister of the Government, dear Director, representatives of the consortium, both the contractors and the surveillance, dear members of the press. Today is another historic moment where we start the largest infrastructural project for economic development and a prosperous European Macedonia. The contract that we signed today with the contractor is the first step for construction of modern and high-quality road infrastructure on corridors 8 and 10D. First of all, I would like to offer my gratitude to everyone involved in this process for their selfless contribution to make this project reach this stage of realization. With the project for the construction of the highway sections of corridors 8 and 10D, we show that infrastructure is the highest priority of this government and that the Republic of North Macedonia remains on the right path towards becoming a modern European state. North Macedonia also needs new quality roads for the sake of sustainable and equal development of all regions in the country, for a stronger economy, for faster transport of goods and services, for better conditions for the citizens and greater safety of everyone traveling our roads. Corridor 8 is of vital importance for the entire Western Balkans, and for that reason we have the support from our European partners in the implementation of this project. I would like to underline that this Corridor 8 has recently been placed on the map of the pan-European corridors together with all other corridors, Corridor 10 and all the others in our region. The agreement that we signed today covers the construction of 4 highway sections with a total length of approximately 110 kilometers, and that is on Corridor 8 the following sections: Tetovo-Gostivar 17.5 kilometers, Gostivar-Bukojčani 30.3 kilometers, Trebinishta-Struga-Ťafasan 21.7 kilometers, and on Corridor 10D, the section Prilep-Bitola 39.3 kilometers. After today's signing, we plan for the contractor to be put into operation in the second half of April for the 3 sections, except for the section Trebinishta-Struga-Ťafasan, which we expect to start at the end of this year because it is necessary to optimize the technical solution of the route and to start the construction and realization of this 4th section. According to the proposed dynamic, the construction deadline is 2027, or in more detail, Tetovo-Gostivar period of 33 months, Gostivar-Bukojčani period of 57 months, Trebinishta-Struga-Ťafasan period of 49 months, and the section Prilep-Bitola 57 months. Before signing this contract, we already informed that negotiations were conducted between the expert teams of the consultant and the contractor selected by the investor. The prices are calculated on the basis of the feasibility study prepared by the Faculty of Civil Engineering and revised by the consulting company Grant Thornton. The contract with the contractor was drawn upon according to the FIDIC agreements, which is the principle of measured quantities. This implies that the payments will be made according to the completed works on site, and thus there will be complete transparency of the completed works and the spent funds. In order to speed up the construction of the corridors, the principle of design and construction will be applied by the contractor. And this implies that with the agreement, the contractor is given the obligation alone or through domestic companies to design and construct. I would also like to mention that 15 billion denars or 244 million euros have been provided in the budget of the ministry. And with the construction of about 110 kilometers of new highway sections on corridors 8 and 10D, we're giving an additional stimulus to the domestic economy and construction. Also, we believe that the contractor, a reputable construction company, will offer all new methods and techniques in construction that will in future would be acceptable to the domestic companies. I expect good management of the processes and that with joint efforts we will continue the development of the road infrastructure in the country. We will face many challenges on the ground, but I expect that all of us will invest maximum efforts to achieve the goals and to contribute to the development of a modern and high-quality road network in the Republic of North Macedonia. Thank you. Thank you, Minister. Now I would like to invite the Director of the Public Enterprise on State Roads, Mr. Rustemi. Thank you. Dear President of the Government of the Republic of North Macedonia, Mr. Kovachevski, distinguished First Deputy of the President of the Government, Mr. Grubi, distinguished Minister of Transport, Mr. Bochvarski, distinguished representatives of Bechtel-Enka, distinguished representative of the surveillance, distinguished members of the press, distinguished citizens. Today, with our strategic partner, the consortium Bechtel-Enka, we signed the agreement for the construction of the infrastructural corridors 8 and 10D. With this agreement, the construction of the 4 road routes on these 2 corridors will begin. Namely, the highway Tetovo-Gostivar with a length of 17.5 kilometers, Gostivar-Bukojčani with a length of 30.3 kilometers, and Prilep-Bitola with a length of 39.3 kilometers. These sections are expected to start construction on 22nd of April 2023. Meanwhile, the section Trebinishta-Struga-Tjafasan, pursuant to the agreement, will start the construction on December 12th, 2023. The construction of these 4 sections is expected to be completed by the end of 2027. That is, the construction works on all these road routes should be completed in a period of 57 months. Dear attendees, in the last 32 years, 186 kilometers of highways have been built and put into use in the country, and that is only 5.8 kilometers of highways per year. This agreement envisages the construction of 108 kilometers of highways in the next 4 years and 7 months, or 23 kilometers of highway per year. With the construction of these highways, the network of the European road corridors 8 and 10D through the Republic of North Macedonia is finally completed. The overall value of this project is about 1.3 billion euros. Dear attendees, once again, I would like to express my satisfaction with the fact that we are starting the realization of the biggest infrastructural project in the history of our country. Our citizens will have modern and reliable highways that are part of the 2 key corridors, European corridors, that will bring benefit to the national economy and will significantly improve the connections with the region and Europe. Good luck to all of us. I wish us success. And now again the same speech into Albanian.
Për ndërtimin e korridorit 8 dhe korridorit 10D. Me këtë marrëveshje do të filloj ndërtimi I 4 akseve rrugore dhe atë autostradës Tetov-Gostivar me gjatësi prej 17.5 km, Gostivar-Bojkoç me gjatësi 30.3 km, Prilep-Menastir me gjatësi prej 39.5 km, të cilët pritën të fillojnë me ndërtim me 22 prill të vitit 2023. Segmenti Trebënish-Strug-Qaftha me gjatësi prej 21.7 km, sipas marrëveshjes do të fillojë të ndërtohet prej 12 dhjetorit të vitit 2023. Ndërtimi I këtyre 4 segmenteve rrugore të autostradave pritet të përfundojnë në fund të vitit 2027. Gjithsesi, punimet ndërtimore të gjitha ndërtimeve do të përfundojnë në periudhë prej 57 muajve. Në 32 vitet e fundit në vendin tonë janë ndërtuar gjithsej 186 km autostradë, që mesatarisht në vit janë ndërtuar 5.8 km. Me këtë kontratë të nënshkruar, ne arrijmë që të ndërtojmë për 57 muaj 108.8 km autostradë, që do thotë se në vit do të ndërtojmë 23 km autostradë. Me ndërtimin e këtyre autostradave, përfundimisht përfundon rrjeti I koridorëve rrugore evropiane, koridorit 8 dhe koridorit 10D në Republikën e Maqedonisë së Veriut. Vlera e përgjithshme e këtij projektit është 1.3 miliard euro. Edhe një herë e shpreh kënaqësinë time, sepse po e fillojmë realizimin e projektit më të madh infrastrukturor në historinë e vendit tonë. Qytetarët tonë do të fitojnë një autostradë moderne dhe shumë të sigurt, e cila do të sjellë benefite në zhvillimin ekonomik të vendit dhe do të kemi lidhje shumë të mira me fqinjët tanë si dhe me koridorët evropiane. Me fat na qoftë, ju falenderoj.
Falenderës drejt.
Thank you, Director. Now we'll continue. We will have questions from the media. I have a question to the First Deputy Prime Minister, Grubi. Here I'm referring to Branislav Dimitrievich, whose company is surveillance over the consortium, and I apologize, I'm not receiving anything. The illegal company, and later it became a legal one. Can we hear something more from the government and the Ministry of Transport? Thank you for the question. As you say, if something can be done in one way, I say that we should not label people without procedures, because if you have some information, then you should give them to the Public Prosecution Office. So please do not interfere. When it comes to the surveillance, in the most transparent way, they were selected in the presence of the media, and the majority of the media were present. And out of the 3 bids, the first one was HIL, the second one was IRD, and the third one Ingerop. We selected the consortium led by the Italian company IRD. We have the representatives here today. They had better bid, and they met the conditions pursuant to the law. The overall procedure went through the administrative checks in the Public Procurement Bureau, and then the Commission for Public Procurements. There were no comments or remarks by the domestic institutions, and we completed the process in the most legitimate way. You're speaking of a situation in 2020, a completely different project that is not related to corridors 8 and 10D. And please let us maintain the credibility of this project and not related to something that refers to the railway and not to highways. We have changes in the ownership. It is not the same as the one in 2020 and the decision that you are speaking about. There is a new ownership of the company, and it is part of the consortium led by IRD. The other lie that is presented to the public is that the government has signed an agreement With FTSA, this is not true because the government signed an agreement with the IRD. It leads the consortium. While these companies work for the IRD, we have the representative from the company and they can provide answers too. Could you please ask me? Because there were some issues. Mr. Gruby, we are asking you about the consortium for the surveillance. Out of 4 companies in this consortium, 3 have, let us say, certain corruptive issues. The question is, why did you accept surveillance by companies who obviously had negative backgrounds in the past? TISA was unacceptable to you as a government. You have bad experience with them, and now you're executing €1 million worth agreement with them. There was another one that had Russian capital, Dmitrievich, with their Euro consulting requested from Armenia. This is quite scandalous, you know. I know what you're interested in. Please do not label people and companies, because neither we nor you are investigative authorities. You may go with this information to the public prosecution, including the opposition. No, this is a question to the government. The question is, how can you make agreements with such companies, without making an in-depth research about their background? Please be patient and I will answer your question. First of all, the procedure for selection of surveillance is prescribed by the special law supported by all political parties in the Assembly and confirmed by the Constitutional Court. The procedure is conducted by the Public Enterprise for State Roads, not the government. The first procedure was announced in 2021, December, and it failed because the selected consultant did not succeed in submitting bank guarantee in the time duration stipulated by the law. That is why we had to nullify the procedure and we made a new one. We had Hill, IRD, and Ingerop. There were 3 bids, and the 3 bids were reviewed by the Commission in the Public Enterprise for State Roads. The overall procedure was public. We had members of the press present there, and after the analysis, the best bid, the most complete acceptable bid, is the one offered by IRD, with difference of €3 million compared to the first bid of Hill of €25 million. IRD is a consortium consisted of IRD, EPTISA, and 2 other companies. I apologize, I cannot remember their names at this moment. But IRD is the implementer, and it is an absolute lie that the government has signed an agreement with EPTISA. Now we're going to the second question. You, both the public and the opposition, convict a company, EPTISA, for a tender in 2020 or for performing surveillance over the works in the railway and connect this to the surveillance in this project. These are 2 completely different things, something that happened in 2020 with something that happens in 2023. And EPTISA, as a company, last year has changed its ownership. It is a completely new company, new owner, new owners, and new company. Only the brand remained due to the references it has. And EPTISA is a sleeping partner in the consortium that is being led by IRD, with whom the public enterprise has signed an agreement for surveillance of the project. IRD performs surveillance over Corridor 10 on the road constructed from Izvor to Boškov Most. It has surveillance over the railway on Corridor 8 by the joint stock company's Železnici, and it is a company that has been successfully operating for several years in the Republic of North Macedonia without a single scandal. I would like to kindly and sincerely ask you not to stain this largest infrastructural project in our country. Irina, please, the microphone. We cannot hear you. We're signing the agreement in 2023. Owners are changed last year, Eptisa's owners, and you in 2021 on government session made a decision opposite to the one that you adopted 10 months before. No, we do understand you. It is the same company. No, yesterday I told you in an interview, can Christian Mickovski become an owner of your TV? Ali Ahmeti can also become. No, he's not interested in that. Mr. Gruby, let me explain you. If an owner of the company is changed, then the company is not responsible for anything. I do not know how you're interpreting the law. I don't know what are your tendencies. Okay, I apologize to you. I don't know for what, but I apologize. No, you are explaining. I will not answer your question until you apologize. I apologize for saying that you are looking away from the questions. This is very insulting and unacceptable, and I would not like to continue with this discussion. Another question. My question is another question. Did you, as a government, know that Mr. Are there any other questions? Yes. Second question. No, you cannot ask me a question. I think that you should apologize to me. You cannot insult me. It is unethical to insult me on a press conference. This is disgrace. We're colleagues. No, we were colleagues on the faculty. I'm only saying that you're going into other direction in your explanations. No, it is insulting. And I'm quite disappointed. Are there any other questions for me? Nata? Thank you. Did you know that Branislav Dimitrievich is owner of one of the companies with whom you concluded the agreement? Madam, I do not know what is not clear here. I'm a deputy prime minister in the government. The procedure was led by the public enterprise. How do you expect me to know the owners when you already found out that this is a person convicted of crime for construction of roads in Armenia? And when you found out through the media that you signed an agreement for surveillance with them, do you not find this suspicious? Will you terminate the agreement? Eptisa offered their demand on this. They were not engaged by the company. He was not part of the company. And if you have any information, please send them to the public prosecution, and the institutions will act upon this information. The public procedure was led by the public enterprise. Can we ask Gruby, because you say that we know each other. I did not have bad intentions, and now I understand the difference of the words in Macedonian and Albanian. No, I did not have an intention to insult you. The direction of your answers did not meet the directions of our questions. No, you're free not to excuse me, but I would like to apologize. No, look, sincerely, I made reports on this person. It is a fact that as of 2021, the public prosecution has not done anything on this matter. It is not a secret that Miomir, I do not know this person. I do not know his name. I do not know what he did. Is there anything opposite to the law? The institutions of the country are free to act on this. Public prosecution, courts. There are procedures. You should know the procedure. A tender is announced. Best bid is selected. It goes to control in public procurement bureaus, then appeals. And this is the final. If there are other appeals, they will be submitted to the administrative court. There is no appeal in this case. These are the procedures. We cannot be judges. We cannot offer administrative procedures as a government. All the companies submitted the necessary documents. Look into the procedures. If you want to invent a story, then okay. The second question regarding the photographies that were published yesterday by your cabinet. You said that the public is being hysterical because what you do is quite normal. And why do you think that one should have sports requisites in their cabinets, in their offices? Should we do this? Yes, I will answer you, although I do not agree with this question. If the basketball hoop touches your feelings, then I apologize to you for playing football and for playing basket. If this touches your feelings, I will do that. You know that I love sports, and pursuant to the reorganization of the state management, the Agency for Youth and Sports should become part of the Ministry of Political System. But it is quite interesting to me that there is no ambassador who did not come to my office and has not used the basketball hoop or the goals. You publish those images. That is not scandalous. And this is scandalous. These are the double standards, the selective justice, inventing some topics only to offer defocuses. I had the mayor of Tirana I dribble, you know. Alexander? My first question is, did you really not know that there is Russian capital when you signed the agreements for the first time? And you had to nullify this agreement? And how did you find out that there is Russian capital? I have another one. Can I answer the first one? Okay. The procedure was regular, the first procedure for selection of surveillance and consultants. We eliminated the first hill due to lack of documents that were submitted in the administrative procedure. The bid was not reviewed. Then we had IGH from Croatia that was offered the bid because they had the best bid, totally legitimate, and recognized by the State Commission for Appeals on Public Procurements and the Public Procurements Bureau. But in the end, it was concluded that all of their funds are blocked in Russian banks because the ownership, as in the case with Aptisa, was changed, and Russian oligarchs had purchased this Croatian company, and all their funds were blocked as part of the sanctions of the European Union towards the Russian banks. And they did not succeed in submitting bank guarantee within the deadline to the public enterprise for state roads, and thus they were disqualified immediately. And that is how we found out that all their capital have Russian origin, and that is why, as a result of that, they did not succeed in submitting bank guarantee. It is good that this happened. We had another tender call, And now we have a world-renowned company that is performing surveillance in North Macedonia for the past 10 years. It performs the surveillance on the largest infrastructure project. Okay, and how will you comment on the reaction of the opposition upon the termination, the reaction defending the Croatian company, and debates on this termination, having in mind that the management of IGH is closely related to the rightist parties in Croatia that are sister parties to the Macedonian opposition. Do you think that there is some interest to protect the Russian capital? I have no doubts about this. And I am sorry that our opposition, especially ВМРО-ДПМН, has decided to destroy the institutions of this country, to destroy the credibility of each individual process. I believe that this is rooted in the leadership of the opposition for corruption. They see corruption in everything. They see an opportunity for their personal interest in everything. And that is why, if you're carefully looking, there is no process in which they do not know where the good is. They want to stick their fingers into the honey. Because construction is corruptive. And corruption is not only misuse of public funds. Corruption is cooperation with Russian elements. Corruption is destroying the credibility of the institutions. Corruption is spreading false news. The daily propaganda of the media to hide their true motives. And that is cooperation with forces that do not wish good to the Republic of North Macedonia, integration of in the European Union, but they want to see it with a Russian-Hungarian coalition against the interest of the people and the citizens. This is unacceptable, and the citizens should see this, because in the very end, the court made a decision that it is a criminal association regarding corruption. Another question beyond the topic. Let me ask you what message you're sending with the tie that you wear today, and do you think that DUI should start offering civil programs, civil concept, and not nationalistic and military concepts? Oh, it's not only the tie, it's the socks as well. So this is a style, but if you interpret it like this, I will remove it and I will give it to you. I will never put it on myself again. Yes, absolutely. Iskra? Yes? Let me give you the tie. This is a gift from me. Iskra? So is this corruption or what? No, this is as Dimitrov did once. Remember? And Zaev with Tsipras. Can we continue, please? I'm Iskra Opetchaska, Portal Măcă. My question is to any of the representatives of the government and the director Rustemi. Any one of you who can answer this question. My question is about the surveillance of the control of over the implementation of the agreement. I will use a concrete example of something that is being constructed on the section Kicevo-Ohrid. We are speaking of the implementation of the control over the agreement. Only one example. For example, what is the country doing regarding the control of how the contractor, especially the surveillance, uses electricity in the base, whether they use industrial or regular electricity, what materials are found in the village Popoets, are they polluting the environment, and afterwards it goes to the river. Is the nature returned to its original state? We had a certain spring there, and of course this refers to the future undertakings that will be conducted. Thank you. The public enterprise for state roads whenever concluding agreements with for surveillance, specifies the obligations of the surveillance for the construction works over each project. So in the project Kičevo-Ohrid, and on this project that we already have, and the agreement with IRD Engineering, we have specifically defined their authorizations. Of course, each project has environmental study, and it is the obligation of the contractor and the surveillance to restore the initial situations in the nature. They need to take into consideration the environment. And if you ask me specifically for certain place, at the moment I do not have the information with me, but when there are complaints from the citizens, we intervene through the surveillance and we ask the contractor to restore the initial situation. Questions for the director? When speaking of the agreement for construction and all agreements for construction, when selecting a contractor, this price is only for the construction. The other prices for expropriation are defined later when we expropriate the plots where the trace or the section should pass. 15 million euros per kilometer. Is this a definite price or it can be changed? You said that after 25 there will be about 25 kilometers per year. This means that in 3 years we'll have 75 kilometers. Will there be a continuation when we will see the officially signed agreement? What if not everything is constructed within the deadline? Thank you for the question. We said that we will construct 108.8 kilometers in 57 months. This means in 4 years and 7 months. 7 months. And when calculating the average, it is 23 kilometers per year. And that is why we have the agreement. We have the representatives from Bechtel-Enka. We have the representatives from IRD Engineering. As you know, it was published in the media when we selected the surveillance and the legal consultant, transaction consultant, performed the negotiations on behalf of the steering committee of the government. We have the representatives of the legal and transaction consultant who can explain in detail how we reached this price, 1.3 billion. That is why I would not like to speak in detail. We have a representative from the consultants who negotiated on behalf of the steering committee, and they can speak in detail how we reached this price that we signed today. Irina, please, the mic. Irina, when speaking of this agreement, we all must take into consideration that there was a special law for this agreement. And we complied with this law for execution of the agreement with the partner, the strategic partner, Bechtel-Enka. This is for Mark Allison from Bechtel-Enka. Do you mind to have surveillance of a company with suspicious credibility? And is it true that the overall equipment, about 40 cars, should be purchased for IRD? How much this will cost you? How much money have you secured? Do you not receive the translation? Do you receive the translation? Hi, do you receive the translation? Do you mind, does Bechtel-Enka mind that you will have a consortium with a company with suspicious credibility? And how much money should Bechtel-Enka pay for the surveillance? You should equip them with offices, with new cars. Bechtel-Enka is not connected to the surveillance. And I apologize, I cannot hear. Director Rustemi will answer this question. If you ask me about the surveillance, each surveillance selected by us in any project, we have project tasks for this project, for the surveillance, and we define all components and elements of an agreement. The vehicles, the equipment, and all other obligations that we have among our obligations as a public enterprise for public roads and any surveillance, we have certain obligations, and we should comply with these obligations of the agreement pursuant to the procedures of the tenders, and these procedures are always according to the law on public procurement. I can confirm that the selection of this surveillance, IRD engineering, for this project, for corridors 8 and 10D, I can responsibly confirm that it is 100% according to the law on public procurement. The overall documents, since the beginning of the procedure for selection of surveillance and consultant for corridors 8 and 10D, are public. They're publicly available. You have the documents in the public procurement system within the Public Procurement Bureau, and all of you as journalists, reporters, and all the relevant institutions can come look into the documents. We are very transparent. This process, I can certify that it is one of the most transparent procedures in the public enterprise. The commission established by the public enterprise for state roads performed a detailed evaluation of all 3 bids by IRD, Hill, and the third one. You can look into the report, 500 pages report. You have this report in the public procurement system, and you can look into the whole procedure from the very beginning to the very end. Nata, please, the mic. You will all ask a question. Please let the director finish. The microphone, Milka. Can you tell us something more about the financial construction, 1.3 billion euros? Your colleague Bochvarsky said European money. How do you secure the funds for realization of these 4 sections? The funding of this project is made from the budget of the Republic of North Macedonia, and this year the budget of North Macedonia already has 244 million euros for this purpose, and each year we expect about 250 million euros secured by the budget of the Republic of North Macedonia. Are there any other questions for the director? Yes, the microphone, please. Director, who signed the agreement for surveillance? Because representative of IRD has not signed it, but our representative from Electro Solutions. The signing of the agreement with IRD was public. It happened in the ceremonial hall of the government. I was present there as a signing party. Orsini was a representative from the IRD. We had the Prime Minister, the First Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Transport and Communications. No other questions for the director? For the director? Director? Did you complete the expropriation? Or no, it has not started. This is not funny. These are logical questions. We need basic information. This is a new model of construction of highways in the Republic of North Macedonia. The agreement we signed today with Bechtel-Enka says that Bechtel-Enka will have designers who will design and construct. At the moment when we will have the corridor, we are ready. We have a coordinative body on the level of the government to conduct the expropriation on all those sections that will include corridors 8 and 10D. So the sections are still not designed. At the moment, we have all routes for the highways. At the same time, we have more information about these corridors. And at this moment, as of today, we already have a signed agreement. We will engage the companies and we'll design part by part. Because when we worked in the past and we had a project and then realization, we had all the issues that we are facing now in the construction of highways. And that is why the construction of Kičevo-Ohrid lasts for 10 years. And that is why now we will have a new methodology of simultaneous design and construction. Yes, Bechtel will design and construct. Good afternoon. Do you mind that your consortium has a person with suspicious origin such as Dimitrievich? IRD is a company that has been existing in Macedonia for 20 years. It has performed surveillance over several highways. To be precise, IRD has worked as surveillance on Demirkapia-Smokvica that was completed within the given deadline with 217 million euros and 3% of exceeding the agreed amount. When you go towards Greece, you can see this highway. It has 6 bridges, 2 tunnels. 50 agreements have been realized in Macedonia. We have worked on Kumanovo-Miladinovci and many other projects. The basic activity of our company is surveillance on roads. And most of the incomes of our company come from this. We have been in Macedonia for 20 years. We have surveilled the largest projects funded by European Union. We had 3% of exceeding of the agreed amount. Okay, and then why you needed 3 more companies when you're present on the market for 20 years? We had 3 companies because we need to have local support, not all key and non-key experts who in principle have extensive experience in realization of FIDIC agreements. A concrete example, for the key expert in the tender procedure as a head of surveillance, we need 15 years of international experience and 20 years of general experience. We bring these people, the key personnel. IRD brings the key personnel. However, there are inspectors on the routes who need to inspect the amounts, the quality, and these inspectors on the routes cannot be brought from throughout the world. They need to work here. We need local companies. These 80 people are people who live and work in Macedonia, and they will live in Bitola Prilep on campsites. They will measure the amounts and they will check the quality. It is illogical from the amount that we have as in the agreement for the key positions to have foreigners. We must have local companies. And that is why these 80 people are local people. They are inspectors, site inspectors, and the key personnel is international. They have extensive experience, and we bring the key personnel, the 11 key positions, the 4 key surveillance, 5 key people dealing with variations and other issues. We have a director of the project and laboratory chief. If you ask me about Euro Consulting, when executing the agreement, Euro Consulting and Electro Solutions are our local support, and according to the information we had then and now, this person is not included in the ownership structure when we signed the agreement. This is my most specific answer. Last question, Irina, and Iskra, and then we will finish. I am Darko Spirovski, head of the subsidiary of IRD in Skopje, Macedonia. To the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, did you mind yesterday's publication of the video where your ministers from the coalition partner play basketball in state facility? I heard the questions and the answers regarding of the first Deputy Prime Minister. These are not the first images from his cabinet. We had some ambassadors who were shooting hoops and playing football. Maybe the Slovak ambassador. I have colleagues, Prime Minister, who have real basketball hoops in their offices. I do not have such basketball hoop. I've never had. However, everyone can choose certain items, putting them in their office and using them for a minute, 3 or 5. This is a personal question for the Prime Minister and how he organized the space in his office. Do I mind? It is irrelevant, because if I want to organize my office in my own way, then I will do that. This is not a question for me. This is a question for him. I'm sure that you can organize your own personal office space per your likings, right? Another question for the Prime Minister? Prime Minister? The first Deputy Prime Minister yesterday demanded you that there were no discussions with MPs from Besa and Alternativa for support of the majority. Who are you negotiating with? I did not understand you. The first Deputy Prime Minister yesterday said that there are no negotiations with Besa and Alternativa. I want to ask you, who are you negotiating with? Another question? Can you guarantee this serious infrastructural project will be completed with agreed values, 1.3 billion euros, 300 million for expropriation, 22 million euros for surveillance? Will we not be surprised with new annexes to the existing tenders as we witnessed on some other infrastructural projects? Whether you, as a first person of the government, stand behind the election of the contractor and the surveillance, are you able to guarantee the legitimacy and the well-agreed works and members of the parliament? This law was confirmed by the Constitutional Court regarding the legitimacy of the procedure. All institutions will be held responsible, institutions who were assigned of implementing the procedure for contractor and surveillance of the project. Pursuant to the law and its provisions, it is foreseen for the amount of the value to be defined based on experts' knowledge owned by the consultant and surveillance company, IRD, and the country decided that the contractor will be Bechtel and their partner Enka. Regarding the guarantees for performance, When speaking of such projects, the greatest guarantee are the references of the contractor. If you used the highway in Kosovo, top quality highway, then you should know that this was constructed by Bechtel. If you went to Albania on the most difficult sections from the entrance in Albania, on the eastern part, towards Tirana, this section is exceptional, and it was also done by Bechtel. If you go in Croatia and you see the highways in Croatia, part of them, high quality construction, then this was done by Bechtel. In Serbia, the highways with world quality and standards, you should know that they were also constructed by Bechtel. This is the guarantee for this company and for this consortium, that they have experience, references showing what they've done here in our region. Whether everything will be done pursuant to this agreement, of course, the company contractor would not sign an agreement, more than 100 pages of agreement, 400 pages of an agreement that has obligations for them, and taking into consideration their size, their reputation, because they're not a local construction company. They would not sign an agreement if they are not convinced that they can complete this project. So I believe that today, this is a historic day, when North Macedonia will start the construction of highways in the length of 110 kilometers, high-quality highways, that after the neglect during the communism, when Macedonia was not connected with the east nor the west due to political reasons, but it was connected only to the north and a bit to the south, because we completed the highway towards the south in independent Macedonia. And finally, we will have a country that will have completed Corridor 10 and completed Corridor 8. And being a country in the center of the Balkan, when we were a roundabout instead of a crossroad, now we will become a crossroad, because with the construction of Corridor 8, the highway to Albania, the expressway to Kriva Palanka that is being constructed by Strabag and Granit, the construction of the railway towards Bulgaria, and the construction of the railway towards Albania, North Macedonia finally will have the two corridors that will make it a crossroad, and we will go on 3 ports. So far, we only had 1 port. And ask the businessman how it seems to have only 1 port. And when you have 3, Burgas, Durrës, and Thessaloniki, then you will see how the price of the transporters will vary. The same refers to the other infrastructure. It refers to the ports in other part. We already signed an agreement with Albania for the new Porto Romano port in Durrës to have a dry port in Struga. This means that the shipping lists will not become due in Durrës or Thessaloniki, but they will become due in Macedonia, and this will offer liquidity for the Macedonian companies. Let me continue. When speaking on the infrastructural connectivity means connection to the energy sources. We have already finally connected the gas pipeline from Zhidilova to Bitola. It is complete. And now Bitola enters the second phase of gasification of the city, because finally Bitola, from 1984, has gas. And at the end of this year, we'll start the construction of the gas pipeline from Greece to North Macedonia. This means that we will not have only 1 gas pipeline, but 2. If from Albania we start contracting a third gas pipeline, having in mind the plans for LNG terminals in Albania, then we'll have 3 gas pipelines, and we'll become a country that will finally be a crossroad on the Balkans. These are the strategic projects. If we draw them on a map, then you will see their importance for the existing companies, for the future companies, and for a new member state, something that we will become, because when we will become a new member state, then the selection of each company, whether they will be resident in Vienna, Zagreb, or Skopje, it will be irrelevant, because it will be a company founded in a new member state. We're not speaking of this. Here we only speak of how not to do something. Since my first day, I'm speaking of how to do something. Since my first day, I've been facing obstacles. The opposition is constantly blocking something. They provide false news. They spread hysteria. End of project that we have 1.3 billion euros project with budget funding supported by the USA. The main topic is whether someone somewhere in another country had criminal offense. So if they had criminal offense, then we should do the same here, and the public prosecution will proceed. Last question for Bočvarski. Yes. Mr. Bočvarski, indirectly related to this topic, what is happening with the cards issued by Amerit for the drivers and for the workers? What is the problem in this process? Regarding this procedure, last year the Ministry of Transport and Communications withdrew the authorization from Amerit due to disobedience of this, due to non-compliance with the agreement. But pursuant to the law, Amerit was to issue such tacho cards until the selection of a new company that will conduct the procedure. We made a new procedure pursuant to the law. We selected a new company, and as much as I know, we expect the materials, the barcode, so that we can start the issuance of the cards, and this will help us to overcome the problem. Are there any consequences? No. Regarding Katlanovo Petrovets, we have already selected a new company contractor. The first company that was selected, we terminated the agreement because they failed to comply with the obligations. So now we have new tender. We inspected the sites and we selected a new company. It has been introduced to the works. We have the first measurements, and these days we have better weather conditions, and the deadline is by the end of the year. Thank you, attendees. This is the end of the press conference. I apologize. I would like to announce, because there are several questions and regarding the details, the professional approach and the information that should be provided by the consultant, the engineers, and the PR team from the Ministry and the Public Enterprise. We will organize an additional meeting with the journalists and the reporters, and we will discuss all the details. We will clarify everything so that we do not stay here for press conference, but we'll have a brief and we will open the report in front of you. You will be called and invited in the next days. Thank you.